Hello everyone, this is Panakont, and today we would be talking about whether we should be buying silver at $100 price mark or not. So we'll start at the very beginning when the human civilization began. First thing that people wanted was water and companionship. Take a shiny and a non-shiny object, place it in front of your baby. The baby will always choose the shiny object. That's already in our mind. So what happened is overall when the human all the basic necessities we got, then we thought about having assets, right? Like every time you're always thinking, how can I have more and more? So that's what the human mindset is. We started from gold, silver, diamond, Bitcoin, Ethereum, meme coins, and whatnot. Like there are tons of assets, tons of liabilities, but everyone has their own mindset. So a group of humans they defined, okay, so we should have uh, commodity reserves like gold and silver reserves, and because currency is nothing, that's just a piece of paper. So how much gold you have, that is how much currency that you can print. That's basically how the world government works. And then, without further ado, I will talk more about the gold and silver prices across years. You could see that it's not a complete picture, but before, when it was like 1980s or before that, the gold and silver ratio was not too much. It was 20 to 1. So, like 20 silver coins is equals to one gold coin. But later on, like we have been revolving around like 80 and 50 silver coins to gold coin. Right now, we are at 48.27. Still, gold is much more expensive than silver. How is there a gap? Why did silver actually decrease in price? So, talking more in terms about what the current prices are, right? And how people are reacting. Like now, silver prices have actually crossed $100, and people are panicking. Hey, what happened? What's happening? I cannot believe it. And you can see like how it started from less than $1, and like everything was less than $1 before, right? Like even you can get one gold coin for $1. That's why dollar was the most prominent currency. Um, we can talk more about that, but now you'd be thinking that silver is too high, but I will try to convince you that it's not, and what the market looks like. So this is an adjusted for inflation, right? So when we have adjusted for inflation, you see that it's around 140. So around 1980s, there were a group of brothers, Han brothers. They tried to pump the silver up before government kind of took action. We were still having a lot of discussions, and we are trying to figure out what is the best way for commodities to work, right? So that was when we had like 140, and right now we are still at 100. 140 is huge, and whoever has done this calculation, I think that this is even not correct. Like what they would be talking about, it would be around like 200 or more than that. Like, but I cannot make any claims regarding it. But right now we are still inflation adjusted below a previous squeeze. So that is a big thing. Now, whether you should be buying silver or not. So this is an actual Silver Institute report, like what is the supply and what is the demand looks like, because ultimately everything comes down to a supply and demand. And this is 10 years of data, and the data speaks to you all. So how has been the supply of silver? So you can see it's linear. I'm very surprised to see that. Why is there a linear demand? Because why is there a linear supply? Seems like there was not enough demand, and that's what you see. That 2015, 2016, 2017, like all of them had linear demand, and then from 2021, 2022, it kept on increasing. But the, when we are talking about it kept on increasing, so why do we have like negative over here? Why do we have a market balance right now? Whatever demand is present, the silver supply is not there. That's why we have a minus 295 over here. So that's what we are talking about. Like the every time you are buying a piece of silver on paper does not mean that you're buying a real supply. If you are buying a paper, that means that is going to be going for mining later on. So That's what it means. And now we are at negative. So you can see that the pump is really there, and it is very difficult to mine in silver. You have to go in a tons of process, right? And right now we are showing that it's negative, which means that it's going to increase, right? Okay, but let's see what is the fundamental drivers of silver rushes, right? Like when it can happen. The very first thing is supply deficit, which is the current situation. Right now, we are in negative. There is a supply crunch, and demand is huge because once someone feeds into your mind like how Bitcoin was, right? Like when it started, hey, buy Bitcoin. Everyone kept on buying and it exploded. Similarly, the same thing is happening right here. We have a supply deficit. It's on the data, and this is what the perfect condition looks like. The second thing is industrial demand. Remember, like for gold, there is no industrial demand. There is people demand. But when we are talking about silver, silver is used widely in solar, in EV, in AI data centers for soldering and all of that stuff. So there is, apart from the people demand, there is also an industrial demand. So you can see that the demand is real, and if the hype does not stop, it's gonna go crazy, right? That is one thing. And the third thing is the macro condition, right? Like we are doing the rate cuts, and then there are inflation concerns. The metals, they are like all the metals from copper to everything is increasing at a very rapid state because of all the data centers and whatnot people are talking about. And then why not silver, right? Silver is also a basic need for any data centers for soldering and whatnot. And Elon Musk also talked about that rising silver cost is very concerning for the industry, right? So another thing. The third thing is geographical instability. How is there a geographical instability? I will talk to you in terms of Japanese yen. Japanese yen has been crashing, right? This time, the government, the Bank of Japan, did not hike the interest rates, and that means that if they are not hiking the interest rate, they need to keep the currency. They need to keep the currency uh, equivalent, right? And right now the currency is dropping at a rapid rate, and Japan is going on under a lot of heat. There is a lot of discussions. I, I won't comment whether it's a sinking ship or not, but people say that it's under a dramatic shift, and no one knows what's going to happen. And Japanese were the one who started debt-based currency, what US is following, right? And this is US dollar. You can see the dollar index. It is decreasing day by day. So what is the safe haven? Gold and silver reserves. Yes, that is it. And along with that, like many smart people, a lot of people try to short it. Right? The moment something rises, everyone wants, hey, I want to make money, let's short it. And here you go, TD Securities. And this is not something which is fake. This is by one of the writers. He published on January 15. TD Securities did it way before any one of us. Like they shorted and they lost more than 500K. And then similarly, I just got this random screenshot from Reddit, and like you can see like all of the banks, there a lot of people are under margin call and whatnot. But still they are losing money. And then JP Morgan, they said someone is saying no longer short, but I would say do not believe these things. But the good point over here is that we are in a rush. There's going to be gamma squeeze. There are a lot of call options which will be in the money very, very soon. And that will, and then the market makers, they will have to buy those SLV paper. And then if they have to buy the SLV paper, someone has to actually mine it. But if you are mining it, you won't be able to get it out like right away in one day, right? Like how we can trade. So it's gonna create a massive deficit. That's that is there. And then I don't know if I covered this, but there is a strong physical demand in China right now. The price in China is much higher than the US. Like there was a $10 arbitrage. If you have buy in US, if you can sell it in China $10 higher price, that is And how China economy works, basically comics you had to paper trade, but in China you have to buy an actual silver for trading, right? Like even if you're trading on paper, there is someone doing the actual transactions. So that is it. The supply crunch is there, the demand is increasing, it's gonna explode. I'm targeting 130, 150. All right, finally, how does the prices of silver looks like in future for the next week? The very first thing for you guys to look at is just look at the massive volume. This is nothing. This has started building over basically from 25th December, and right now we are at 23rd January. Like it has been building up. A lot of people are buying in. You don't know whether they are buying in, selling in, but there is interest, there is hype. Everyone's talking about silver. That's why you see there is a mass increase, right? And then my targets that I'm thinking of is basically I've drawn a trend line with Fibonacci levels. Right now we are trading at $92 for SLV. The very first target that I'm thinking is around like 105 in the recent term. But if the hype does not stop, there is no telling whether it's gonna be 100, 120, 140, or maybe 70, 80. No one knows. The answer to it, it's no one knows how the market is. Like, if anyone knew it, banks have so much money. Why TD Bank lost $600 million? Like, doesn't make sense, right? Like, no one knows, but this is what the hype looks like. And if the volume kept on increasing, just remember, buy. That is it. Again, this is not trading advice. Make all trades at your own discretion. Thank you so much.